Welcome to week number 7 of my Survivor review. Now, week 7 is the midpoint for the Survivor season. You have 7 weeks down, 6 weeks to go. We're right in the center week of Survivor One World. So it's sort of like hump week for Survivor. Now, before we recap tonight's show, let's just cover a couple of tweets from survivors in the past week. Colton tweeted, and I quote, "I love how we can let stuff go, but people who don't know us can't." So apparently Colton doesn't like to be treated the way he treats other people. Let me break this down for you, Colton. The survivors you played this game with have forgiven you for 2 reasons. Number 1, you shared a very special and life-changing experience with them by playing Survivor with these people. So no matter what kind of low-caliber person you're playing a game like that with, you're always going to have some sort of connection with them. And number 2, they've had 6, 7, 8, 9 months to digest what a vile human being you are. As for America, it's all brand new. We just met you. Now, I say all this at risk of losing my Christina Cha endorsement. As you may or may not know, she watches my show and she likes it. But she took the high road and didn't go negative on Colton. And I still like Christina, but we're going to have to agree to disagree because I think Colton needs this backlash that he's getting from America to learn any lesson at all, even though I don't really think he's learned anything. And that's the last time I'll mention Colton on this show until finale night. Now, every week when I'm done filming this show, I upload it to YouTube and then I climb to the tallest mountain and I yell to anybody who's listening that my show has been uploaded. And that's when last week's show picked up 2 new endorsements, one from a gorilla and one from a lion. And that can only mean one person, the specialist himself, Philip Shepard. Now, unfortunately, Philip didn't give me any quote that I could use in my show this week. But he did favorite my tweet telling him about the show. And that just reinforces that the specialist is a highly intelligent individual. So enough of that, let's get into the actual recap of the show, Hump Week on Survivor One World. So the show starts off with a recap from last week, as always. Then the show picks up where we left off last week as the newly merged tribe goes back to camp. And they're treated to the customary merge feast. But this merge feast is a midnight madness merge feast. It's totally in the dark. But that's not going to stop our survivors from getting their drink on. Except for Jonas' brother because he doesn't drink. Mormons indulge in wives, not in alcohol. So then we go to a commercial break. No, we don't! Hold the phones, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mother, tell your father, tell your enemies, your neighbors, anyone who will listen. Survivor One World has an intro. Who knew? Is this the first time this season that Survivor had an intro? I think so. Now, I might be a Survivor nerd, but I'm not a Survivor nerd where I'm like, details. So I'm not totally clear if this is the first intro we've had this season. But if it is, come on, we need one every show. It puts you in the mood. Survivor is like that beautiful woman that the producers have been married to for like, what, 12 years? And they're like, yeah, I guess she's hot, but I see it every day. You gotta take care of that woman, all right? Make her feel special. Survivor's still a beautiful woman to me. So then we go to the commercial break.
Now, nothing of real consequence happens before the challenge, except Jay gets all douchey with Tarzan. So instead of massaging some egos and making people believe that they've merged into one tribe, even if behind the scenes they haven't, Jay's like, Tarzan, this coffee is for people who won it. You didn't win it, so you can't have any. But dang-a-dang.
So then it's time for the reward challenge. And this challenge requires 2 teams, or 2 tribes. So either they had one too many team challenges planned, or they merged 1 week too early. Either way, the challenge is run out, dig up puzzle pieces out of the sand, bring them back so somebody can put them back together. And it was actually a really cool turtle puzzle. And do you want to know what they were playing for? Pizza and cold beer. So when it was all said and done, Chelsea, Christina, Sabrina, Troyzan,
Jay,
and Alicia won the challenge and get to eat pizza and beer on the beach. And on top of that, they get a note telling them that an idol is hidden back at camp. And speaking of back at camp, that's where the losers are. So the losers are talking about how much they want the pizza, and they start to strategize a little bit what their next move is. And Jonas gets into it with Tarzan, because Jonas feels a little bit out of the loop. And those 2 guys really get into it with each other. In fact, one thing I learned is Don't ever interrupt Jonas. Let him speak his mind, especially when he has a knife in his hand. Now tonight was the return of the interactive living room where Jeff Probst was tweeting during the episode, even though he's on location filming Survivor 25, the Survivor I should have been on and the Survivor I should have won. But that's not going to happen, so I'll just have to hold out for Survivor 26. Or 27, or 28, or 29, or 30, or 31, or 32, or 33, maybe 41, Survivor 42 might be my thing. We'll see. Anyway, one of the games Jeff Probst likes to play is Who Said This on this episode of Survivor. And one of the quotes he had was, "I can't look at this Asian face anymore." And my first guess was Alicia talking about Christina, and then my second guess was Tarzan talking about Jonas. And my second guess was right. But in the episode that aired in the United States, the quote was, "I can't look at that face anymore." There was no use of the word Asian, so maybe they edited that out because they thought it was a little offensive. Whatever the case is, Jonas and Tarzan are not friends anymore, if they ever were. So the winning group comes back from their pizza feast, and the next morning, Troyzan gets up really early and looks for the idol. Which tells me that Troyzan is really taking this game seriously, and it stands to reason because he's been a fan since the first season of this show. So he's looking high and low for the idol, and guess where he finds it? In a tree. Now, like I said, I'm not a Survivor statistician, but has that ever happened before? Have they ever hidden an immunity idol in a tree before? I don't think so. So just like that, with the idol in his pocket, Troyzan becomes one of the power players in this game. So up next is the immunity challenge, which happens to be balance on a piece of wood while you're balancing your balls on wood, a wooden disc. And what better way to celebrate Hump Week on Survivor than with a ball challenge? Now before Tarzan could get all his balls on the disc, he drops out of the challenge. And it stands to reason because he probably hasn't handled his balls in many years. So here's a couple of quotes from this challenge. These are good. Michael with balls hanging on both sides of his disc. Kim loses a ball. Not cool, Kim. Grab your balls, everybody's safe. Which is actually good life advice if you think about it. In fact, I do that all the time when I get out of a tight situation, or even when I'm in a tight spot. I tend to grab my balls. Troyzan's balls haven't moved in a long time. First of all, Jeff, how do you know that? Second of all, Troyzan, if this is true, it sounds like a problem to me. Leaf drops a ball. Well, that's a start. Maybe if the second one drops, your game will improve. Now, most of the guys drop out of this challenge by the time they have to handle 3 balls, because handling 2 balls is one thing, but handling 3 balls is just unnatural. And the same was true for the women. When it came time to handle 3 balls, most of them dropped out. Which surprises me because I thought that Alicia could handle 3, 4, 5, 6 balls, but she wasn't even able to handle 3. So the challenge just came down to 2 people, Kat and Troyzan. And who knew? Kat. She's good with balls, which is good to know. In fact, I'm going to make a mental note of that. Alright, I did that. But it wasn't Kat that won, it was Troyzan. Surprisingly good with more than 2 balls. So it turns out to be Troyzan's lucky day. Not only does he have the hidden immunity idol, but he has the non-hidden immunity idol. Then it's time to go back to camp. And it's either time to scramble or do laundry. Now, if you're in the Power Alliance in this game, you're doing laundry. If you're not in the Power Alliance, you're scrambling. Jonas catches wind that he might be on the block, so he starts to scramble-jize. He patches things up with Tarzan, who should be doing some scrambling of his own, but Tarzan is more concerned with doing his laundry. Which leads to one of the greatest segments in Survivor history. You know, Survivor's not easy. You're always starving, you're dirty, you're trying to outwit the people you're living with, and it's the little things in life that keep you going, like clean clothes. So all Chelsea wants is a clean set of clothes, and it'll make her happy. So she works hard scrubbing her clothes with sand, cleaning them out, and it comes time to boil her clothes. Meanwhile, Tarzan is telling everybody that the brown in his Speedo isn't poop, it's just dirt. Dirt that comes out of his butt once a day. Maybe twice a day if he ate a lot of coconut. It's not poop, it's just dirt that comes out in the formation of a log. But it's not poop, it's just dirt. So Tarzan takes his Browntown Speedo and chucks it in the boiling water with Chelsea's clean clothes. Which makes her say, I'm gonna go puke, I'll be right back. So Chelsea's alliance wants to get rid of Jonas Brother. But after this incident, Chelsea wants to get rid of Tarzan. She tries to remind her alliance members why they should keep Jonas. He cooks for them. He's useful at camp. He's pleasant to be around. He works his ass off for the tribe, which is something that can't be said for somebody like Alicia. Now Tarzan's been somewhat of a surprise for me. When I first saw his video on CBS.com, I thought to myself, there's no way I would recommend any girl that I know go see this plastic surgeon. Now in general, I'm not for plastic surgery. Anything that you have that's natural is better than plastic. But there's certain cases where you need plastic surgery. But if I knew any girl that wanted to get plastic surgery, I would definitely say, don't go to this guy, because while you're under, there's no telling what he's going to do. Maybe he'll piddle your lady petals, whatever, I don't know. Steer clear from this guy. That's what I thought when I first saw his videos on CBS.com. Now that I've gotten to know him a little bit better, as much as I can know somebody from watching Survivor, I would say to my female friend that might go to him for plastic surgery, don't do it, because if you're going for breast augmentation, you might end up with a D cup on one side and a C cup on the other. This guy is a character. So anyway, it's off to tribal council. Poor Jonas is scrambling. He knows his neck is on the chopping block, so he pulls out all the stops and says he's going to vote for Michael because he's a threat. Which pisses off Tarzan, and Tarzan openly says he's going to vote for Jonas Brother. And when it's all said and done, Jonas Brother... Which kind of makes me sad, because I actually was starting to like Jonas Brother. In the beginning of the season, I really didn't care for him because he wasn't being forceful in his game. I like strong people who play a strong game. But last week and this week, Jonas showed that he has a lot of fortitude, and I'm sorry to see him go. Somebody who is playing this game, though, is Kim. But unfortunately, we're going to have to leave that for next week because I've run out of time. In fact, this is my longest episode I've ever done. So what do you think? Do you like when I do a longer episode, or do you want the episode shorter? What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments down below. Next week I'm going to shoot for 7 minutes, just to give you both ends of the spectrum. So what you guys need to do right now is hit the subscribe button right up here. You need to follow me on Twitter at SurvivorTrev, and that's all I got for you.